Hi, my name is Nigel Gorski and I'm a chartered accountant practicing in the Bingley area. This recording is designed to sit alongside the budget newsletter, which should have gone out with the recording and is also available to look at on the website. First things first, any tax information in this recording is designed to give you a little bit of information and not really advice specific to either yourselves or your businesses, and you must seek advice before acting on anything that's contained within this recording. Budget 2018 announced on the 29th of October, a little bit late in the afternoon, so hence the recording is a bit of a day afterwards. Was it a defining moment? Then maybe at the end of this recording you can make your minds up whether it was. So the thing that's hit the press and hit the news and has been the big headline grabber is the fact that the personal allowance will go up to £12,500 next year. So what does that mean? It means that most people will pay less tax. What you need to remember is that national insurance, self-employed 9%, more for employed people, kicks in at a much lower level, and that is going to be going up but not by as much. So the threshold will be £8,632 per annum. Now the interesting one is that higher rate tax is going to kick in at £50,000 from the 6th of April next year. Now this has created a bit of a cliff edge in a lot of respects, because you'll pay higher rate tax at £50,000. Child benefit tapering kicks in at that amount as well, and of course some of the savings allowance is taken away at that. So £50,000 is actually becoming quite a key amount. Easy to remember, yes, but it's not just one tax change. There are 3 tax changes that threshold would kick in for income. So it's quite important for tax planning that you're aware of that. As I reported in last month's newsletter, Class 2 National Insurance, which is only going to be £3 a week, was meant to be abolished, but because of issues around lower earnings, it's now being left as it is because it's much easier for people to pay via their self-assessments, and £3 is much lower than the Class 3 alternative. So there will be no change to the collection method on that. So what else has gone in there? What else hasn't grabbed the headlines quite as much? Well, interestingly, I think when chancellors are a little bit nervous that businesses are getting a bit shaky, they start to play with the annual investment allowances. And I guess with Brexit looming on the horizon, that's precisely why he has looked at the annual investment allowance, which is the amount we can spend on plant and machinery, to try and keep businesses spending money. Now, temporarily, that's going to increase to £1 million from the 1st of January. Now, this can create all sorts of problems for people with non-calendar year ends if you're going to spend a lot of money, because actually, depending on the timing of your capital expenditure, you might not get the right results. Because of the way that it's apportioned. So I would always double check your entitlement before you sign up to spend money, just to make sure that you're actually going to get all of it in the financial year in question for your own business. So that is going to be around for 2 years. Interestingly, there is still quite a major consultation on VAT. The VAT threshold is going to be frozen at £85,000 for another 2 years. There's not a lot that we can do with VAT until we leave the EU. However, afterwards, one of the consultation school of thoughts is that there is some sort of tapering mechanism to get businesses into the £85,000, starting at a much lower level. So I think once we're clear of EU waters, we can probably start seeing that change somewhat, and it could also be a method for raising more tax to pay for some of the expenditure which is being promised in the years ahead. For employers, please don't forget that living and minimum wages are increasing in April. Now, there's been a lot of high-profile cases that have been reported where businesses have not been paying these. Please don't forget that it's very, very easy for the revenue to now spot whether you are paying this or not, because the real-time information that's reported every week or every month gives them a pretty good clue whether you are close to the bone or not. So an IT query might be enough for the revenue to come along and have a look, so do check. with your payroll provider that everything is all in order. The other thing you need to remember is that minimum contributions on the pension which you need to provide for your employees will go up again in April. So wages go up, pensions go up. Please be prepared for that and build it into your budgets. So no changes to corporation tax. So there is a planned reduction to 17% coming up. That's still coming up as it stands. And the big one, I think, for some clients and some contractors are the changes to the IR35 regime. That sounds so technical, doesn't it? Basically, it'll either affect you or it won't. So it's around where you have a limited company and you work for one person. The Chancellor doesn't like the fact that you're only paying corporation tax and perhaps some dividend tax on top of it, and he's wanting to collect employers' national insurance. The regulation of this through larger companies will basically affect the way in which that money is collected and enable the Chancellor to collect his national insurance. One thing's for certain, that the contractor will be worse off. So I'm sure there will be some lively debate between contractors and their employing companies as to whether they are caught within this new legislation or not. Other one to have a quick look at is for those people who have previously owned a property and then decided to let the same property. There are a couple of things called principal private residence relief and lettings relief, which can give very, very generous discounts on capital gains tax. Those are changing in 18 months' time, and the lettings relief definition is being tightened up somewhat. So if you have made a huge profit on a property that you previously let, and you are thinking about selling it, you may wish to consider the timing of that sale. So that is my whistle-stop tour of the budget. I hope that's been really useful for everybody, and as always, if you've got any questions, please get in touch, email, telephone or message, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Have a good day and thank you for listening.